You know, most cops will take the day off after the night you had.
You're still getting to know me.
It's nice to meet you all. Very excited to talk about this show. I'm 7 episodes into this season, and I am hooked. I can't wait to go back in and finish the season. Now, I would love to start with our leading actor here, Maggie. Renee is such a fascinating character to me in the way that she balances allowing some of her vulnerabilities to be shown to people, but also still really has that strength and that wall up. What is that like from a performance side, really trying to make sure that that balance is felt on screen?
It's not easy, actually, with her, because I think that being vulnerable is like the bane of her existence. I don't think it's something that she enjoys, if I'm being honest, but that's why I love their relationship too, because they have a history. And so there's certain vulnerabilities that she grows to show, Courtney's character, that she has with LaFont because of their history, and that she has with Bosch because of his seniority and their background. But there are, again, very few people to turn to in that world, you know, because there's not a lot of people she trusts, number one. But also, I think that you are, if you are overly vulnerable, it's not believable, right? It's just like no one in that position wouldn't have this very hard exterior, right? But if you don't give enough, you're not human, right? And so you really have to find that balance so that people feel that she's a real person. It's very easy. I mean, I know that sounds so stupid, but really it's very easy to go off track and sort of be this very one note kind of tough detective. And that was really not the experience I wanted people to have, especially as a woman, because that's not who we are at all. Yeah.
Well, and I love that you captured all of those layers, because again, and talking about Samira over here, I mean, that conversation in episode 4 or 5, I believe, I don't want to get into spoilers per se, but I mean, I love that conversation and seeing the parallels in each other's backstory. So yes. Courtney, I'd love to turn to you now and hear not only what it was like really diving into that, you know, very dark layer of Samira, but also finding that sort of kinship with Maggie as Renee shares that experience with her.
It was both difficult and rewarding. I think having such a very like up and down arc for Parker was a hard one for me to read. And I wanted to make sure that I was ready to be vulnerable in those ways, because I think that's such a hard thing to portray on film. And like it's easy to get super vulnerable and have those conversations with a friend, but getting in front of a camera and making sure that you provide that real and very like just upsetting and vulnerable moment, it was extremely difficult for me, but it was so nice being able to kind of bounce ideas off of Maggie. And like, even right before our scenes, Maggie was just very like, don't you dare hold back. And it allowed me to be like, oh my gosh, this feels so safe. It felt so safe to be in that room with her. And then in turn, because it was Maggie, because of the crew of people who know what it's like to kind of deal with kind of intense scenes, I felt safe with them as well. So I'm
a lot of support.
Praying that it was looking as good as it felt for me, because I felt it was so difficult to do, but it was so rewarding being able to access that vulnerability with such great people.
Well, I'm glad that you had that safe space, because that is a very vulnerable place to go, even as an actor. And you did crush it, by the way.
Yes,
that scene
I agree.
So powerful. And then, John, I'd like to turn to you next, because even though Renee and LaFont's relationship is very much front and center, I actually love seeing his home relationship with Jim. I mean, I'm obviously a long fan of his as well, but there's also just such an interesting, you know, we talk about, again, balancing that vulnerability with that hard shell. What is it like, you know, getting to explore that with Jim and finding that balance of letting yourself be open to your life partner, but also still not wanting them to experience the horrors that you're experiencing on the job?
I loved the opportunity to work with Jim, first of all, because he's terrific, you know, terrific actor. And I was a big fan before he was cast, and was very excited to hear that he was doing it. Also, it felt so earned in the writing of the relationship. Also, there was a beautiful sense of, for maybe the first time in LaFont's life, he's fully himself with someone, which is an extremely vulnerable thing to be, and I liked that. I liked that a lot. It's also great to I love how this show gives you moments, private moments of each of the characters in different circumstances. And then when the case is being worked on, you see as an audience the different points of view. I want to go back to something about the other question too, which was the quality of the crew's understanding of what it takes to do vulnerable scenes. I can't tell you how important a crew's energy is. It's hard to express because for the viewer, they're not really thinking about the 60 people in the room with you. But that crew, our crew, was so vital in creating an atmosphere of support, of quiet, of intense presence that made those scenes even easier to play.